Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die, they stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for support if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
Hey everybody, Bob Adams. It is the what is today? The 25th of June. Good grief, the year's almost half over. Holy crap. And it goes faster when you get old. You know that? It really speeds right along. Tony and I haven't put out anything for a while. We haven't had a lot to discuss. I do have something I need to announce, though. I created a website called Currencies for Sale with the intention of giving everybody the opportunity to be able to buy and sell IQD, to move it around, to put it into their one-person LLC Roth, and that kind of fun stuff. Well, that has run its course. So officially, as of tomorrow, I will be shutting it down, and we'll just move on with life from there. But anyway, that's not much else on my end of the game, but I know Tony's here, and he's got some information for you, so I'm going to turn it over to him. Tony, it's all yours.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob. So I appreciate your guys' patience. Just so you know, I'm not avoiding anybody. I'm not super busy or anything. It's not that, you guys. If there's no information, I'm not going to waste your time. So I hope you guys appreciate me respecting your time that way. All right. If you're looking for that Dinar fix, there's plenty of guys out there that'll feed that monster, but it's not necessary. So the reason I wanted to do this audio today, because there is information out there and it's very strange. So just so you know, it's positive and negative to a degree. And I've gotten so many questions about it, but I'm going to go over a couple things after that too, because there's a couple principles that you guys need to understand. United States involvement in Iraq. All right. But first things first, let's knock this out. And that is, you have Israel fighting Hamas in southern Palestine now. Well, they pushed them down to southern Palestine. And basically the leadership in Hamas is in Qatar or Qatar, depending on however you guys say it. All right. So it depends on if you're British or American. Everybody says it differently, but that's where Hamas is their headquarters. And what it is that intelligence is out there saying that Iraq agreed for Hamas to move their leadership headquarters to Baghdad. And so there's all these companies out there, private intelligence companies, we'll talk about that here in a minute, that are saying this is what they agreed to, and this is what happened. Iraq agreed to it. Their government agreed to it. All right? And the reason I want to, and immediately the leadership of Hamas denied it. Okay, so what's that mean for you? What's that mean for me? What's that mean for the Iraqi dinar? Well, it's something you guys need to watch, and that's why I wanted to do this audio. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but after 2000, after 9/11, all right, they went in through the CIA, and all of our intelligence agencies, why get more efficient to make sure something like that doesn't happen. You can't fill all the cracks, but what can we do better? And people don't realize this, but a lot of the intelligence agencies get their information from private corporations now. All right, so they're the people that have been involved with the intelligence agencies. They probably worked for the CIA, quit the CIA, worked for a specific intelligence company, and then get paid a lot more money given the same intelligence. And so that's how that's working. And the reason I know that is because when I would do the introduction to geopolitics and stuff like that, I got to work with a lot of those companies. So I know what they're up to, and where the information comes from, how they do it, and all that stuff. It's very interesting. It's not as romantic as people think. All right. So, but that's where the information is coming from. Hamas is denying it, and I haven't seen Iraq deny it or say yay or nay. But that's so you have these private intelligence companies telling the U.S. government that Hamas was going to go to Baghdad and set up headquarters, and Baghdad agreed like a year ago. Here's the point, all right? If that does happen, and the reason I'm telling you guys is because you need to watch. If that does happen, that is not good for Iraq's markets. Hamas is a disruptor. They are a puppet of Iran, all right? That's one of, Iran, they play the proxy wars just as better, probably, but just as good as anybody. And Hamas is that. So here's the thing. The reason I say good and bad is because if they do set up in Baghdad, it will have an effect on the markets in Iraq because Iran doesn't want the West to do good. And so they're going to disrupt the market. But here's the thing. It'll probably cause them to add value to the dinar quicker, but if it revalues, you need to get out. Like I will get out instantly. I will exchange and then get out because, here's the other part of it, all right? The United States, with the three things that I've talked about, if you guys look at, I'm going to talk about religious side, how we look at it from a global perspective, and that involves Islam, Sunni, Shia, and then from our markets, and then the U.S. dollar, real quick, because this is how Iraq works, you guys. This is their relationship with us, and on what side of the coin is Iraq going to be, and if Hamas sets up shop in Baghdad, they're not going to control Iraq, but they're going to disrupt. So what does that mean? So remember, from a religious perspective, a policy, we're the government's not Christian, it's secular. All right, you can hate it, whatever, disagree with it, it doesn't matter. But where the Protestants, where we gained our relationship with the Hebrews, the Jews, before Israel was, they went back to Israel, is that the Dutch made it to where they created corporations, and they made it to where it doesn't matter if you're Hebrew or whatever, you can invest, you can start a company, you can bank with us. If you went to Spain, Italy, Portugal, you couldn't do that. They didn't have freedom. It was all influenced. It was a closed system. There's parts in it that you can work and be the underlings, but that was it. So if you weren't an elite Catholic, you were out, period. End of story. All right. So you have the Dutch that created this open system. And that open system was created based off Protestant principles. You know what I mean? They started to develop these principles. It's like, look, we don't recognize your authority. And then they went back and forth and all that stuff. And, they realized that there were some of the Protestant churches were about to do the same thing. It's like, well, we're not Catholic, but we're this or that, and we have the authority. And everybody's like, no. You're just repeating the whole thing over again. So you're replacing one pope with a completely different kind of pope. So that's not going to work. But anyways, what happened is that the markets that were created there were so many more investors that the Dutch, they end up taking control of 75% of the world's trade. All right. So you had the Portuguese, Spain, Italy, they had their corporations, but you had the crowns, you had the elites in the Catholic Church, the private investors and all that stuff that invested in their corporations. And the money that they got was from conquering South America and all the colonies. The other side of that coin is the Dutch, and then later the English system, which it was just a bigger version of the Dutch, is that everybody can invest and you can own property. You can believe what you want to believe in, and you can do whatever job that you want to do. So what it did is it opened the door for innovation and for the markets to expand. The other side of that coin is completely closed. You could hate it, you could be against it. It's like, well, we don't give it. The point is that's how the markets were separated. All right. So the reason I'm telling you guys that is because that financial system is what we have today with the United States. So how does the U.S. dollar work? Like, you're looking at what is the United States, its dollar, so here's a question for you guys. How does the United States justify its debt? Like, if you look at, you have these guys predicting by 2040, we're going to be 53 trillion in debt. And then you have guys like me and stuff like that, we're not worried about it. And you're like, how's that even possible? And the reason is because people don't understand what's going on. And this has to do with Iraq. All right. This could put a big damper on what we are looking at in Iraq, or the timing of it. Our goal is so how do we prop up the dollar? We get as many countries to use it as possible. Iraq is one of those. And the other question I've been getting is Saudi Arabia, they dropped the dollar. They didn't drop the dollar, ladies and gentlemen. They said you can buy fuel in other currencies, but you can still buy fuel in the U.S. dollar. People twist these things. It's so unbelievable. But anyways, so the question for you is, how does the government justify this debt? Well, where are they getting the money from? Are they just buying things and then they just charge the taxpayers, us? No, that's not what's going on. That's a small piece of it. But what's happening is that we've got these countries that are in buying treasury bills. And that gives us the money to get into, it's like we take that money, we put it in the system, there's got to be a profit. So our GDP is getting bigger and bigger. And we pay back these guys that give us that money, right? We pay back, let's say, as an example, let's say China. China invests in the treasury bill. They give us a ton of money. And then, we've got it in the T-bill and they get an interest. Well, what do you think we do with that money? We inject it into our economy and we invest, and there has to be return. The formula, there has to be a return. So if you look at the United States, we're 31 trillion in debt right now. And this is the problem that people have. Now I get in front of people that have PhDs don't get this, all right? It's like, okay, let's break this down. How much of that money that we are borrowing, that we got, is going into the economy compared to how much they're borrowing from the average American citizen? I don't want to hear any moral stories or anything like that. I need to know how does those two separate? What percentage of the debt is from money that we're getting from other, a different money source than it is from just taxpayers? Nobody can raise their hand. The reality is that our money source is coming from foreign people trying to get into the U.S. dollar because we're the most stable economy on the planet. That's what we're doing. That's where we get that money to get that debt. So go back to Iraq. What's that have to do with Iraq, Tony? Well, because we want Iraq to be addicted to the dollar. And that sounds contradictory because it's like, well, wait a minute. I thought you said they want their own currency. They do. They want their own currency. But they want to be able to convert the currency to the U.S. dollar whenever they want. They want both. All right? But if Hamas gets in there and they are a disruptor, and they're a tool of Iran, then guess what? They're going to try to disrupt those markets. And the number one thing to do to disrupt those markets is try to put some type of wedge between Iraq and the U.S. dollar or our system. And that's why I say it's something I can't predict on what they're doing because Hamas has denied it. But they are a disruptor. And if they do get into Iraq and things start to happen, they're not going to not revalue the currency. They will revalue it. What it does is it gives you signals on you need to exchange and get out if it, when it revalues, value is added. Mark my words, ladies. I'm just throwing this out as a caution on breaking it down technically how it works. But that's how the United States works, and that's what we're doing. So from a religious perspective, what do? We make sure that nobody, the Muslims, the Catholics, the Hebrew, nobody controls the Holy Land as far as a religion goes. Everybody has access to it. All right, so nobody can create the religious manifest destiny and say we're the chosen ones. That's the number one Anglo-Saxon priority. That's it. Number two is the rimland that protects our markets. Make sure that we have access to all the gateways on the planet, and make sure nobody can create the Russians, Iran, and the Chinese get together and be able to attack that. And that's what we're trying to prevent right now. That's a part of Ukraine. It has nothing to do with Jesus or Putin or the gay community or anything like that. It is about markets. It is about GDP. That's what it's all about. The formula I always talk about: resources and manpower equals production. Production equals wealth, and wealth equals power. And that's it. The rest is all right? So first is you make sure that nobody has a manifest destiny where they can create a religious empire. Second is to make sure that the gateways to all our potential customers is open, because that's our keys. The reason we're a trade empire is because we have more customers than everybody else. And even if let's say if China has more customers, our customers have more money than let's say if our population is bigger. So not only that we have a bigger customer base, but our customers actually have money. All right. Second, the third part of the equation, United States, is our power is getting everybody addicted to the U.S. dollar. And it doesn't have to be one thing, you guys. Let's say this talk that's out there about the petrodollar falling. Okay, so it's not tied to petro anymore. What about all the other goods on the planet? How do people get stuck on one thing? I never get that. I know it works in conspiracy fields because most people are idiots, and these guys can get away with anything. They could say anything, and the conspiracy crowd just buys it right there, right on the spot. All right, but it's a mix. It's the next gold is microchips. Why do you think we're bringing all our factories back to the United States? The high-end factories, by the way. You guys, it is happening right now under your nose. How people can't see it, they don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.